Right, my friends, hello and welcome back to another video. What you just saw there was the 1 foot laser flip, and now I'm going to be going through a few tricks of a similar vein to that. This is 10 tricks that will get you beaten up at the skate park. Now, obviously, the title is a bit of a joke. No one's actually going to beat you up for these tricks, but these are tricks that I've done over the years in situations at different skate parks or in games of skate. For some of them can be used, some of them can't be used in skate, but they've generally been looked down upon by the more traditional skateboarder. And you know, on this channel, we don't really give a damn about what they think. I just think that skateboarding is fun, and I'm going to do any trick that I want because, again, it's freedom of creativity. So with all that being said, hopefully you'll get down some of these tricks as well. Let's get into number one. So the first one is probably one of the easiest tricks humanly imaginable. So I would highly recommend this for anyone that's either just started skateboarding or wants to add one more easy one to their repertoire. This is the vanilla milkshake. What you're going to do is put your board like this. If you skate regular, you're going to go right foot against that side of the board, but if you skate goofy, you're going to be going left foot. Now, I'm a regular skater, so I'm going this way. So basically this one's quite simple. You're just going to pull the board back like this and do like a circular motion like that. So watch how my foot brings the board round and the board wraps around my foot. Just like that. That's the very basic step of the vanilla milkshake. But what you ideally want to do is, and then get both feet back on the board. So this is a real simple one. It's not going to take long for me to teach you, and hopefully it won't take too long for you to land it either. I taught Holly this, and Holly, if you're a regular viewer on this channel, is a slightly clumsy lady. And she'd be the first to admit it. I'm not being horrible. But yeah, I am being a bit horrible. But yeah, so vanilla milkshake. We're pushing the board around in the circular motion. I'll put it in slow-mo right now just so you can see it in detail. Just like that. And now, the final step is we're gonna aim to jump on the board as it comes round. Do it proper slowly at first. And just try and get both feet as the board wraps around. I'll do you one more, and I will film a bunch of slow-mos afterwards and put them over the screen right now, just so you have that extra 120 FPS version of the trick. But finally, before we go on to the next one, it's gonna look like this. It's not gonna look like that, hopefully. Well, it will do for your first few, but once you get good at it, it's gonna look like this. On to trick number two. Right, next trick, number two, is probably one of my least favorite tricks of all time. Now, just because I'm doing this trick list, it doesn't necessarily mean that I love all of these, but I do love all of them except this one. So do this one at your own risk, and it's not because I don't like the look of the trick or how it feels to land. I hate how it feels when you don't land it. This is the no comply hand flip, especially on a cold autumn day like today. If it's a hot day, you'll be a lot better off. But basically what you do is you take 1 foot off, you pop the board up, and you slap it with your hand to get it to flip like you just saw there. Now, even that, where I visually did it perfectly fine, still hurt my hand. So keep that in mind. This one might not be for you. Remember, there's always chapters down below, so if you want to skip through each trick, you can do that. I'm not going to hold you to watching through every single trick like some YouTube channels might do. So pick what you want to learn, write it down, and go through the chapters. But yeah, basically this one, you're going to ride along, take that front foot off, you're going to pop directly from the center of the tail, because if you pop from the center of the tail, board comes straight up. If we pop from the side nearest us, board goes towards us. If we pop from the side away from us, board goes the other way. A little bit of physics knowledge will help you with skateboarding quite a lot. So straight from the center, and as it comes up, you want to make sure that you bring the board up to you and your hand and not go down to hit it. So you don't really need to bend over much at all. You just, about like this height, slap it as it comes round, and just stop it with the back foot. When doing this trick normally, if you have gloves, great. If you don't, too bad. It's gonna hurt a little bit sometimes, especially if you slap it and like miss it and just hit the fingertips. I'm not selling this trick very well, I understand that, but still, it's a unique one if anything. So to do it completely, you're gonna go just like that. Thank God I landed it first try, because if it took like 10, my fingers would be sore. On to the next trick. So next trick we've got is one of my actual favorites. I really enjoy this one. This is either a boneless hand shove. Technically, it's like a beam plant. For a quick explanation of the two, a boneless is when you grab the outer side of your board, but a beam plant is when you grab the inner facing side of your board. I might even be wrong about that. Who knows? People are always calling me out for stuff these days. I'm just doing what I've always been told. So basically, for this one, we're going to grab from the inside, and that's because it means that having our palm facing outwards, grabbing this side means we can get an easy turn of the board like that. So if you grabbed it from this side, it's not easy to turn all the way like that. So we grab from the inside with the palm facing out, and it goes this way, like that. And we're gonna throw in a 180 as well, so it's like a big spin. That's just the easiest way to do it. It can seem complex, but when you actually try it, it's a lot more simple than it seems. So we're gonna do it in a slow motion here. We're gonna stop, front foot comes off, nose comes up, foot on the tail, hand facing outwards, grab it here, spin it, go 180, and then land facing the other way. So now we're going backwards. Now let me show you a slightly more complete variation of the trick. And trust me, it's a lot easier than it looks. Says that, then doesn't do it. But to be honest, I'll probably leave that in the video because that's just the nature of skateboarding. Even when you can do the trick, there's gonna be times where it doesn't go right. So remember, like I just said, stop, grab the inside of the board, spin it, and spin yourself. Trust me, when this one is a lot easier than it looks. Again, I know I've said that a couple of times. I've got slow-mos on screen right now, so you can really watch that. And I think watching the slow-mos is the most important thing. So study those as much as you can and use them to break down and figure out the trick, because that is one of the most valuable ways to see and learn something, in my opinion. That is the boneless hand shove, bean plant, big spin, whatever you want to call it. Who cares? Just do it and have fun. On to the next one. So this next one is the double no comply, right? The no comply normally is not so much of a hated trick. That looks like that. Very simple, very nice, very stylish in my opinion. Very demure, as Holly just says. I don't even know what that means. But the double no comply is slightly different. We're gonna go for the normal, stop, pop the board, but then we're gonna pop again and go 180 with it. So it's like one pop, two pop, and then go with the board. This one, probably one of the harder tricks on the list. While it may look simple, it's the complete opposite to the last one. This one looks simple, but it's actually fairly difficult. The other one is easy, but it looks very difficult. So pop once and fail. That's how it goes. So make sure that when you pop the board, my biggest piece of advice here is to pop down and just slightly shift your foot that way to get the 180. So practice this stationary. You can literally just stand here and do this 1,000 times until you get it. And then once you get the first one, you gotta do it again. And this time we're following it with the leg. So normally you stop it at the tail. This time, this foot follows the same side that you pop, round. So now your foot's facing that way, okay? So the double no comply, you stop, you pop once, and then you pop twice, go with it, and get back on the board. Let me break it down for you in a nice slow-mo situation. So to break it down into steps, we're gonna take our front foot off, pop the board around once, pop the board round again and follow it, and now we're riding in fakie. And that is almost the double no comply. Now we just need to do it all in one fluid motion without stopping and only having one dab of our foot on the floor. So here we go, this one, again, not that easy. Pop, pop. That was a terrible version of it, but that is literally what it is. If you landed that against me in a game of skate where we're doing everything counts, I would totally count that, but I'm gonna get a cleaner one for you right now. Oh, that was even worse, almost pre-mode hard. I'll tell you what, I'll land a really nice one in slow motion and I'll put it over the screen right now so you can see exactly what's going on. And now you know that that is the double no comply. On to trick number 5. Okay, now we're getting into trick number 5. I'm taking the jacket off and putting my mic on there. No, this is a Volcom jacket and it's very nice. I actually got this for £50, reduced from like 130. Can't complain, I really enjoy the pattern on the back. But this isn't a jacket advert. I tell you what should be an advert though. Heathen sent me these hoodies. Super nice, super soft. I actually would definitely recommend getting some. Not really expensive either. They're like 60 quid. I know 60 quid is a lot, but in today's day and age for a nice hoodie, that's pretty good. Like some hoodies cost like 100, 200 quid. So definitely recommend checking out Heathen Skateboards. Not a sponsor. They just sent me some stuff and it's nice stuff. So honest opinion. This trick is the ollie body varial. Now, this one took me many years to even bother trying, but once I did start trying it, it's not too bad, right? So basically an ollie body varial seems like a very easy trick, but it's actually not really. So an ollie body varial is like that, but to do the ollie and then switch your stance is actually harder than doing like a kickflip body varial, in my opinion, or a pop shove it body varial is probably the easiest. I'll do a little demo of a pop shove body varial if you want to learn the easiest one first. You just pop shove and turn your body at the same time. But that's not what we're going over. We're going over the ollie body varial. This one perfectly legal in skate as well. So there's a very unique hack to get this one. So you're not gonna like ollie and then immediately try and turn your body, because something like that will happen. What you have to do is, remember when you were learning how to ollie and you had to pop and then push the front foot up the board to get the board to level out? Well, that is the point in which you switch your stance. We don't pop and then instantly change our body. We pop, level out with the front foot, and then switch it. So you're almost like bouncing off the front foot. And again, this is one where the slow-mos are gonna help a lot. So you're gonna pop, push off the front foot, and then twist your body off that push. So, and you're gonna do a lot like that. You might land primo a couple of times, which is fair enough. Maybe try it with like some soft grass or ground around you. And it's gonna take a lot of practice, this one, especially to get consistent. I only learned it like 6 months ago, so I still don't have it consistent. But I think it's a really good one to have in skate, because you don't have to pop that high. You can just get a nice little ollie on it. And as long as you bounce off that front foot when you turn, then you can make it look pretty good. And some people can do like proper high ones, pop it, get it really high, and then switch stance. So definitely worth practicing. I've asked a lot of people their opinion, which I do often when I'm learning new tricks, to what looks good and what's not. And everybody said they like the look of this one when it's done right. So if you do it a bit shitty, not so great, but when you practice it enough, it looks pretty good. Obviously the slow-mos have been on screen for the last few seconds, so definitely study those. And now we're getting on to trick number 6. All right, the next one is definitely a fan favorite. This is the souffle. Everybody loves this trick.
I love the souffle.
See, Holly shouts that she loves it. Basically what you do is you pop it into your hand, spin it, and land back on it. Now, this is actually one of the first tricks I ever learned, and it's not too difficult at all. So a great way to practice this one is, again, like a lot of the tricks on this list, you can really break them down step by step. What we have to do is we've got to put our hand out, pop the board from our back foot into the hand like that. At first, feel free to put both feet on the ground, but in an ideal world, we'll just have one foot. But for now, use both, just to practice it. So once you've popped the board into our hand, now that we're here, we can use the corner of the nose here. So thumb on the grip tape, 4 fingers on the back, and we spin it 360 like that. So a great way to practice this one is to just stand there, hold the board exactly how I'm holding it on the outer facing side of the nose, and just keep spinning it and stopping it with that back foot. Like, this is the most technical part of the trick. So once you can do that, you've pretty much done the hardest part. Now, I'm gonna break it down for you ultra easily. So, right, we're gonna take our front foot off, pop it into our hand, throw it around, stop it, step back on and roll away. Now, that is the most like incrementally based step system of this trick. Ideally, once you've got all those steps, because I want you to practice the steps one by one, and then as you get better at them and more consistent, we're gonna speed up the gap in between each step until you get to a point where it's all happening in one motion and you only put one foot on the ground. Just like that. Now this one, again, like I said, pretty low risk. Oh, and one more thing you can do if you wanna break it down even further is when you jump, is when you're here, get your one foot out and just go and throw the board underneath your feet. A great way to practice the commitment like that. You can step off if you don't land comfortably, but the biggest hack, or biggest tip I should say, is landing with your knees bent and your feet spread apart. So aim to land one foot on each set of bolts, like that. That wasn't really like that, but you know what I mean, like that. And that is the souffle again. I keep saying it, slow-mos are on screen. Just use them, all right? Fucking use them. So next you've got the souffle, not to be confused with the fakie big spin, which is why most people give this trick shit because they look so similar, but I'll give you a masterclass on the difference between. First I'm gonna do a fakie big spin, which is this right here. You basically do the shuvit and the 180 at the same time, which is it's a shuvit 180, if you didn't guess from what I just said. But the souffle, you do the 180 first and then the shuvit. So this is the souffle, you go 180 and then throw the shuvit round. It's actually a little bit harder than the fakie big spin, but definitely a different trick. So coming around, 180, and then throw the shuvit. Definitely a more difficult version, but a nice one to have that not a lot of people do, in my opinion. To break this one down, there's not a lot of things we can do, apart from turning the body first, stopping for a second, and then throwing the shuvit. So ideally, you would do the shuvit without putting the front wheels down. So you would like turn the board around with the front wheels in the air and then do the shuvit like the slow-mos on screen right now. But to break it down, we're gonna do the revert or like pivot from fakie to normal and then do the shuvit, then slowly decrease the gap between the pivot and the shuvit. So start off like this, you go revert, shuvit, and over time, slowly close the gap in between the two until you end up with something like this. Pivot and then shove it and then almost die. There's obviously a lot of slow-mos on screen right now, but yeah, that's the souffle. One of my personal favorites of like weird tricks. Let's get on to the next one. All right, so inserting this trick somewhere randomly in the video because I forgot to do it earlier, but that is the 1 foot nollie shuvit. Now this one is quite basic, and if you've got a bit of balance and a bit of dexterity on the skateboard, you should be completely fine with it, but it's something you can't really practice incrementally. Basically with the front foot on the nose, you're gonna have your toes on the top of the nose, and you're gonna use your foot to like shift the board and do a shove it like this. The key to this one is making sure your other foot is nice and out of the way. Babes, if you want to go in front of me. So making sure your back foot is nice and out of the way, and then using that foot to pop it over. Get some practice doing it like that without committing to it. But at the end of the day, this is one that is a bit more sketchier than a lot of the other ones on the list. So front foot, like I told you, with the toes on the nose and the rest of the foot about 2/3 to halfway up the board, depending on how big your foot is. And then you're just gonna maybe have your toes like slightly on the corner facing away from you, just so you get a bit of a va-va-voom with the nose to make it shove it. But practice it a bit like this. Try and get the board round, but at the end of the day, if you want to do something like this, it's one of them ones where you're just going to have to commit to it. Hold your leg out in the air to get it out of the way, and throw the board round. Land in manual a few times, but if you do, just make sure that you bend your knees and lean forward so you don't go flying off the back. And with enough practice, you should end up with one like this. On to the next one. So, our penultimate trick, the mongo heeley. This is another great one that I never knew the name of for years until I got corrected on it online. But what you do, you take 1 foot off, as you do with a lot of the tricks on this list, and you spin yourself round and get back to facing forward again. Now this one, originally I started doing this just to like stop at traffic lights. So say if I was like going down pathway in the street really quickly and I needed to stop fast, I would just go and then stop. But turns out it's actually a trick. So there are a few tips and tricks for this one. I'm going to show you one of my favorite ways to do it real quick, which I think looks kind of cool, where you stick 1 foot out in the air like this and then put it back on. I really enjoy that version, but yeah. So the way that we're going to do it, pop our board down. The way that you have your back foot, absolutely key for this one. Do not hesitate on not copying this. Does that even make sense? I don't even know. I'm not an English scholar, I'm a skateboard teacher. Let's put our back foot on the board. Our heel is going to go almost to the tip so that we've got a bit of control with our foot like this. And the rest of our foot is going to go maybe up to about 1/3 of the way up. So we've got our heel on the tail and our front foot on there, so you can control the board like this. Now what we're going to do is we're going to use our shoulders and we're going to throw our weight around. You don't have to do it in one smooth rotation, not like that was smooth, but slow-mo on screen now to show a smooth one. You don't have to do it in one rotation at first. We're going to practice doing it with a couple of dabs on the floor just to make sure that we know what we're doing and we get a gist of it, just to warm ourselves into it, you know? So you're going to take that front foot off, you're going to go stop there, and then get back on. Use as many foot dabs as you need to get used to doing the spin and just get the gist of doing the trick. So go if you need to, and slowly take away some of the dabs as we get more used to doing the spin. And ideally, you do it with just 1 foot dab on the floor real quickly, and then you hang your foot that you did dab on the floor in the air above the board until you finish the rotation. So you go like this. That was a kind of a sketchy one, but you get the idea, to be honest. But this one, again, is quite sketchy in a way that you feel like you could fall off, but as long as you take it slowly, as long as you break it down in the steps that I've suggested, you'll be a lot better off than if you just Hail Mary tried to go like this and like spun out and flipped over or something like that, you know? So break it down, take your time, don't rush into it, because at the end of the day, it's better to take a bit longer learning a trick and then not injure yourself, because if you injure yourself, yeah, maybe sometimes you'll rush the trick and you'll get it faster, but then when you do hurt yourself and you can't skate for a week, a month or something, that other person that took their time with the tricks is learning a lot more in that time that you're injured. So just take things slowly, carefully, and try and break things down as much as you humanly can. Anyway, as you can see, more slow-mos on the screen right now. They're looking after you a lot today. I know they are. They're doing a lot of the heavy lifting. So we've got one more trick left, and this is the one that I've probably gotten the most hate on over the years. So let's get into it. Now this trick, while it doesn't receive anywhere near as much hate these days, I feel like with skateboarding online and how, I'm gonna say it, people like me and my channel have put these tricks more into the forefront. Not this one specifically, but a lot of the other ones, like bringing them back from the dead in the past. People like myself, Andy Anderson, and a few others are bringing these old school tricks back. So I feel like they don't get as much hate now. This one especially, that's the double flip. The double flip is a great trick in my opinion. Everyone that says, oh no, you should never do double flips, has never landed a nice double flip because they feel amazing. I absolutely love them. And a lot of people, especially if you're like someone that doesn't know too much about skateboarding and you don't have the preconceived notions that a lot of these older skaters might think that, oh, you shouldn't let your board flip more than once. Trust me, I've heard that more than a few times in my career. But yeah, so the double flips. So you're obviously gonna wanna have a nice kickflip first. So instead of having my foot like up here for a kickflip, we're gonna have our foot slightly further down. So instead of up here, we're having it about halfway up the board and a bit further off the board. So when you flick it, you're gonna flick it a lot harder. And a lot of people think it's just about a harder flick. That's not the whole story. You have to extend the power on the pop just as much as you do on the flick. And remember, straight down so that the board comes straight up. The harder we pop straight down, the more of a resistance the board comes up into our foot and we get a better flick by popping harder. So obviously you're gonna wanna pop harder, you're gonna wanna flick harder, and bear in mind, right? You're gonna be so used to doing single kick flips that it's gonna be very difficult to learn the power required on your ankle and in your leg. So it's gonna take some time, some practice, a few days, weeks, months maybe to get used to it, but you will slowly build up the power in your leg and get a better technique. Because this one is not just about technique, it's about power in the leg as well. But once you get the technique, you can substitute that for the power. A bit confusing, I know, I don't even know what I'm saying, but let's go and practice a few. So we're gonna ride slowly, because remember, a little bit of momentum riding forward helps a lot with the way the trick forms. So we're gonna go slow and we're gonna try land with one foot first. You will do a ton like that, where you just do 1.5. You might even do a few when you get 2.5, but eventually you're gonna end up with one like that. Now that we've got our flip, all we have to do is commit in the same way that we did our regular kickflip the first time we learned that. Because you can already commit to your regular kickflip, I just need you to trust it and just flip it as hard as you can and commit. Because if you get yourself into that same mindset when you were landing your first kickflip, which I know everybody did, where they would flip it and be too scared to commit, don't start doing that. It's always best to commit and then deal with what happens later. You might land primo sometimes, you might not. That's just the nature of skateboarding. It's how it is. But we're gonna jump high, pop hard, and flick hard, and we should end up with something like that. Now go get beaten up. I'll see you in the next one.